All right, guys. Well, we got to do the intro. I don't really want to do it. I mean, I don't know if I could be positive about this. Who wants to volunteer
I
for
mean,
this?
I'm kind of drunk and really don't think that I could do it without cursing and using several slurs for several people. So I don't think it should be me.
Robbie, I mean, do you think you can get through it?
I honestly don't even want to do this today.
Tell you what, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's
Robbie
just
had his
do the recap.
girlfriend there. He was all ready for some sympathy sex, and he had to kick her out for the show. That's awful news, man.
Tell you what, we're gonna review the Redskins Steelers game, and let's just do it.
All right.
Welcome to the Hogsty with your crew, Alex Zeese, Steve Thomas, and Robbie Duncan.
And hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Week 1 edition of the Hog's Eye. Redskins lose to the Steelers in embarrassing fashion. I really don't know where to start with this game. This was a Murphy game, and I don't mean just Trent Murphy, I mean Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong went wrong. Steve, where do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm here. Bobby's here. Alex is here. We're doing another Hogstye late night edition with this. The game has just ended. Yeah, it was brutal. So I think let's start with the offense and what we saw on the offense. We're gonna let's. I have a feeling Robbie's gonna have a lot to say on in the trench play. So, but let's start with what's the most important, which is Kirk Cousins. I think with Kirk Cousins, we had the return of bad Kirk tonight. He looked rusty. His passes, his receivers bailed him out of 5 or 6 catches, with some very poor passing. He just did not look like himself, and it wasn't really even too much that the Steelers were doing. The Steelers didn't get a lot of pressure on him, considering what a high pressure defense it usually is. Kirk was just not good today.
No, he definitely fell back to earth. 2 interceptions. I don't think he had a touchdown.
No,
the
Chris
only
Thompson
good drive.
had a touchdown.
Yeah, the only good drive he had was in mop-up duty. But Robbie, why don't you give us your thoughts
we'll
on
get
Kirk?
to that. But yeah,
He was bad. He was really bad. It was pretty pathetic. He was very inaccurate at the beginning. He looked like the old Kirk, like just flustered, wide-eyed, deer in front of headlight style. I mean, I don't know why he's so flustered. He has all these weapons to throw to. Just take a deep breath and do what you did last season. It's not that hard.
And unleash the ball. He was throwing a lot of very low velocity, soft passes, it seemed like, throughout the game.
Yeah.
well, I think if we have a chance to look at the film, which none of us have, the All-22 film, I'd be willing to bet that his footwork was off in this game quite a bit. It was kind of hard to tell, just like first impression
He
without
wasn't using his feet at all. Like,
Yeah.
For example, that 3rd and 15 he had, where he just stood there and threw it out of bounds or over the receiver over the end zone for an incompletion, just throwing it away. Where he could
in the fourth quarter.
he could have just sprinted to get what he could and make an easier 4th down try. I mean,
Right. Not just that, if he starts scrambling,
something
then
happen.
Crowder probably starts moving, and Crowder was in a pretty good one-on-one situation. You could have maybe gotten, or I mean, sorry, not Crowder. It was one of the tight ends.
It was,
Crowder was in the
yeah,
end zone.
this is a game where Kirk's stats look a lot better than he was. He was 30 of 43 for 329 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, rating is 72.7, which is the lowest he's had. And if you go back to last season, since probably the beginning of last season.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just saying we took 0 shots deep. I mean, nothing Nothing deep at all. I mean, we didn't.
Well, they took the one deep shot to Deshaun there at the end of the game.
Yeah, but why
That's
then?
my
Why not take
yeah.
a shot when you have a chance, when they're playing the run the way they were?
The first
could've-
five,
Well, you know,
first 5 minutes or last 5 minutes were all just garbage time.
Well, I have, I don't have my normal notes for this game just because of the logistics of how I was trying to view the game. But one of the things I wrote down in the second half, a note to myself, is that I wrote Jay Gruden refuses to go downfield even when he needs to a fault. That was a note I wrote to myself. It was a never-ending siege of square outs, quick passes, screens, and when they needed to get yardage and needed to go downfield, he just will not do it. The one touchdown we got, if everybody noticed, was when the game plan changed. Kirk went downfield, on won a post, I think, one of those passes were, and it's not going to work every time, but that was when we started to move the ball in the second half. You can't just like death by 1,000 cuts to these teams that have good defenses, like Jay Gruden seems to want to do.
Yeah, if you want to look at a moment where I really started getting mad about our very conservative dink and dunk offense, it was we go down by 8 points, 27 seconds left. Why don't you at least try and get into field goal range? You have a timeout, you have 27 seconds. Throw one or two deep passes and see if you can at least get that score down to a 5-point difference,
Yeah, I mean, I think that this offense works when, one, we can run the ball, to keep the defense honest, and two, if you go down, I'm not saying you have to be the Panthers and go downfield all the time, but you have to take some shots to keep these safeties back and keep them honest, particularly when you have Deshaun Jackson out there and all his speed. If you can go downfield some, it opens up the underneath, much more than it had, because Jay relies on yards after catch, on yak for all this, and they just weren't getting it. And part of the reason is we never went downfield, and so they don't have to respect that.
Well, I mean, that's what the Steelers were counting on for us to do, was try to hope for yak. I mean, they just played deep and then tackled really well. I mean,
yeah.
Jordan Reed was making some sorry, hold on. I had a little burp here. Jordan Reed created some yak at the beginning, but after that, nothing happened. I mean, there were some really nice connections between Kirk and Deshaun here and there, but it just wasn't enough,
Deshaun had a decent game, but they weren't impact plays at the end of the day.
No,
for the most part.
Well, I think he had early on. He had the one. What was it? 30-something yard reception.
Right in the first quarter.
Yeah,
right.
That led to a field goal, but that was about it in terms of impact.
Well, and let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean the first half I think was, it's a tale of missed opportunity. We had 2 possessions inside the Steelers' 25-yard line in the first quarter, and they come away with no touchdowns. That's something that's plagued this team for years now, almost. We don't convert at a high enough level in the red zone. And yes, I mean the yard zone is the 20-yard line. Spare me. I mean we were at the 23, I think, but we don't convert enough of those, and that's really hurt us.
Now we were at 4th and 1-ish on both those, right? I mean that's the real kick in the teeth. Go for it. Mm-hmm. It's early in the game. Every other team was doing this all weekend. Go for it on 4th and short when you have a chance to put up a touchdown.
That was one of the things that pissed me off the most about this entire game. We punted on 4th and 1, and then later decided to just go for it on 4th and 6 when we didn't have to.
Right.
Made no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's aggravating.
And the punt wasn't even a very good punt either.
No.
Well,
on top of it.
Tress, he botched the sky punt. It was a 28-yard punt right on like the 20-yard line or so. It's not good.
Well, I mean, getting a punt in that range, too, is tough just because you're close enough where you should be going for it. Like, the whole new advanced metrics of how when you go for it on 4th down, say that's a spot you go for it.
Well, yeah. That again, why did we not go for it then? I mean, you punt it and then decide to go for it on 4th and 6 where it's almost impossible to convert on that. It's so hard to convert on that.
It was even for Jay Gruden, it was a conservative game plan. I don't know if they were just afraid of the Steeler pass rush, because, I mean, we talked about this in the preview. The Steelers secondary was terrible last year. We should have absolutely, taken some of these shots downfield, taken a little bit more of a risk, opened things up a little bit more, it would have really helped.
Robert Kelly deserves some carries, but he
Yeah.
didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean that's
They
the real
didn't give-
question.
They didn't give it to him.
Why aren't
I don't think he even had a single snap.
why aren't we running the ball on fourth and shorts, or even third and shorts? It feels like we have no confidence in this run game already. I don't know what we're supposed to do about that.
I mean,
Well, here's our run game.
There were some decent
go.
runs from Matt Jones here and there, but
He had two decent runs. He had the one that was about a 10-yard carry, and another one that went for 4 or 5 yards. He was 7 for 24, 3-point average, 3-point yard, 4 yards per carry.
well, and then there was the play where the offensive line was going right and he went left on the handoff. I mean,
Yeah.
bonehead plays like that. I mean, maybe he was right and the offensive line was wrong. I doubt it, but I mean,
The entire offensive line was not wrong.
no, that's my point. Like,
Yeah.
he was wrong. The play was wide open too. He got just.
Yeah, he had a hole. Yeah.
I don't think Robert Kelly would have gone left when the offensive line was going right.
Honestly, I'm kind of done with Matt Jones. I really am. I mean, I don't know what it is about him that the coaches have so much faith in him. He just hasn't shown me anything. He didn't show us anything tonight, really. I mean, the 12-yard carry was when the Steelers defense was wearing down in the fourth quarter, and, there wasn't a sense of urgency. When it counted, he didn't do anything. And he hasn't done anything at all.
I'll tell you
since
who
he's
did
been
do.
here.
I'll tell you who did do something and seems to really want it is Chris Thompson.
did.
I mean, Thompson may have gotten blown up by a linebacker on that, but he's an undersized guy, and he shouldn't be taking on guys like that. Ford, I think, is his last name. He shouldn't be taking on guys like that by himself. But even so, he ran with purpose. He didn't look hesitant like Matt Jones
Nope.
does. He ran with purpose. They gave him the ball on fourth on the goal line to get that touchdown.
That's really telling. You have a guy
that
who's
says a
6'2",
lot. That said a lot to me.
230, and you give it to the guy who's 5'8", 190 pounds.
That says a lot. He played pretty much the rest of that fourth quarter after that series. He took over that series, and then I didn't see Matt Jones come back in after that. Maybe he did, but I missed it.
And Thompson was 4 for 23, 4 carries, 23 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, which is 5.5 yards more
Shoot.
than Matt Jones.
Maybe, I mean, we're not a running team anyway. Maybe we just let Thompson be the number one guy and do what the Patriots do with like small guys like Dion Lewis.
Right. Just scat back
I
at the
mean,
whole
you
time.
could, but-
yeah.
Yeah.
The
why not?
problem is, I don't know if you can find a team outside of the Patriots that's good that can't run the ball. The Patriots are an exception. They have an elite quarterback and all the rest of it. You're not going to find another team that can't run the ball at all when they have to and is a good team.
Well, the problem with that
I don't think you're
theory
gonna find
is
that.
there are a few teams. I would also say that New Orleans can't really run the ball, but they also have Drew Brees. And then the other teams that can't run the ball have nothing going, like the Bills.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
A good team.
Right.
You're not going to find it. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is, the team will never take the next step if they cannot figure out how to run the ball. I don't know who it
take
is.
The next step if you keep making these dumbass penalties too, all these unwarranted false starts. I mean, I understand you do hard counts, draw the defense off sides, but you're making your offense jump more than you are doing anything else.
I got to ask you, Robbie, the one that was the false start against Lichtensteiger, I just couldn't see it. What happened?
I didn't see anything either. He apparently moved the ball somehow before he snapped it. That was like simulating the snap or whatever.
I know that's what Gruden said. I just didn't see it.
Yeah,
I was
none of
hoping
the
you
angles
seen
showed
something.
anything.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in those angles either. It seemed a little ticky-tacky, but
Yeah.
Lichtensteiger
at that
did not
point,
have a
didn't
good
matter.
game either.
Well, and
Well, I mean, even Trent had a holding call on him.
Trent
today,
didn't play
you know?
play very well, I didn't think. I mean, a lot of our runs behind Trent seem to get blown up in the backfield.
Our pass pro was good, I thought.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
pass
besides
protection
Chris
was fine.
Thompson,
Yeah.
but our run blocking's not good.
No.
I mean, we got some good runs, like we mentioned earlier, but it's just not good enough.
Well, here's the thing.
I-
We are great at running it right up the gut through the A gaps and, straightforward running. Anytime Matt Jones was trying to get outside or do anything even the slightest bit fancy with the ball, he got blown up in the backfield.
Well, Alex, we're not great at that.
No,
We're not great at that at all. That they can get positive yardage sometimes.
Positive yardage is great in this
in,
book.
To say we're great in any aspect of the running game is just a fallacy at this point. We're just incompetent in the running game, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about how bad the defensive line is, by the way.
They got embarrassed.
I think we've mentioned enough about, or talked enough about the offense.
Right. Fair enough.
The defensive line had no push at all. They were getting pushed back. Kedrick Golston was getting pushed back a lot. The guy, I mean, I'm not hating on him. It's not his fault that he is out there, but he doesn't deserve to be out there. He really doesn't, and it's really pissing me off that he still is on this roster when we had guys that could have done better. Cullen Jenkins, I think, could have done better than that.
Willie Lanier was inactive.
Lanier, I think, is a better player than Golston.
Right. But he's not a, quote, nose tackle, so that's probably why they did. And I know it's stupid, but that's probably why Golston makes the roster and Lanier doesn't for the game.
Yeah, well, this is the other thing. We were talking about the run game and offense. These guys got gashed in the second half. One of the stats I did manage to keep was at halftime, Pittsburgh had... just lost it. I think they had 50 yards rushing at halftime, and that was it. They just got absolutely gashed in the second half.
The reason why they got so gassed and tired was because they kept converting on third downs. They get in these manageable third down, even short fourth down plays, and Big Ben would just find the play to run to beat it. I mean, they lined up in bunch formation and a couple times. The touchdown to Antonio Brown was the same look. And
3 or 4 times that happened, yeah.
Yes. They lined up in bunch. The 3 receivers stacked in a certain spot. We loaded the box, anticipating the run up the middle, and it's an easy audible. He just, boom, beat us. Same thing with the, what's his name, Rodgers. He ran that little crossing route. Boom.
Eli Rodgers.
Yeah, easy conversion. Just we did not line up correctly against these formations. I don't think bad coaching, bad play calls, just wasn't.
Yeah, I thought in general the front seven got humiliated tonight in every respect. I mean, they only got 3 or 4 pressures on Roethlisberger in the entire game, and each and every time they let him. We talked about this in the game preview. You cannot let Rodgers step up in the pocket. You can't let him do his dance Roethlisberger, evade the rush, and they let him do it the very few times they got pressure on him, they let him step right through it every time, and that's how Roethlisberger kills you. It's I thought they got humiliated, and I realize that the Steelers have an outstanding offensive line. The game day crew talked about it on the broadcast, how good they were. They outclassed us in every aspect of the game. I thought run defense, pass pro. It was a man playing boys out there tonight.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, I mean the thing that aggravated me the most, you see what they're doing, and you do nothing to adjust. And let's take the obvious one. We see Brown is suddenly always lining up against Breland. And Kotwika does nothing to adjust his scheme, it seems like, to help him out. Joe Barry. Yeah. Kotwika did nothing to adjust to apparently not knowing how to kick a field goal on the extra point at that one point. But, I think there was lapses by almost every coach on the team. In that regard. No one's adjusting anything. I don't think we just did anything on offense to make Kirk more comfortable, to help the run blocking schemes. I don't know if we had that ability to adjust it.
I think we'd be remiss in not addressing Bashaud Breeland. I think it was, as best I can remember, I think that was his worst game as a Redskin, and he was terrible. He just cannot cover Antonio Brown, and you hit it on the head, Alex. I mean, they lined Brown up over top, over him over and over and over and over again, and Breeland just can't cover him. What do you do to adjust? Maybe you ought to put Norman on him on man coverage. That's what you do to adjust.
Yeah, maybe you stop having so much pride in your scheme and let your players play. Josh Norman,
right.
You paid this much money to. I mean, yes, you want to have one person stick to one side. And no disrespect to Breeland. He's a great player. He had a really bad night. But, at some point during the game where you just got to be like, okay, this isn't working. Let's just let Norman cover him, you know.
Because Norman did pretty well. Did much better against him.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But it needs to be said, though, although Breland had like 2 other chances to get picks, though, after that first one that he got. The touchdown to Antonio Brown, Breland had it right in his hands. Brown just basically ripped it out, caught it at the same time and ripped it out for the touchdown. And then that pinball catch that Eli Rogers caught bounced right out of Breland's hands. And he was right there at it. He couldn't hold on to it. I mean, he could have had.
Look,
there were plays on that that were left on the field that should have been capitalized on.
I mean, Breland was
he had
putting
a bad
himself
night.
in good positions most of the game. He just got beat.
He had a bad night. He was going against the top receiver in the NFL probably for much of the night. I mean, we won't see that bad of Breland too many times, I don't think. You know, I don't know.
I mean, it was a bad night. It was a bad night. It's pretty easy to give him the, you know, what's the benefit of the doubt, the pass, because he's never put up a performance like that before.
Yeah, I mean, he gets the Golden Raspberry Award today, but
I think this loss really goes on the coaching staff for not, you know, saying, "Oh, we're losing because of this." Yeah, okay, move Norman over. If you can't move your corners around and say, all right, we're not doing this left-right thing anymore, like on the fly, that's no good. That's a real lapse in judgment by the coaches. What did you think about the inside linebackers? That's been a big concern for us throughout, you know, most of the offseason.
Yeah, Mason Foster made a couple good plays. That screen pass that he, you know, sniffed out was impressive and all, but just wasn't good enough. I mean, Compton was flying around, he got a lot of tackles, but you know, just not good enough. I think he just needs more help from his defensive line. I mean, they're getting pushed back into the 2 of them where they can't do anything when their D line's in their lap. They just, you know, they need the defensive line to just play lower and not get pushed, especially Golston. Golston was like standing straight up, getting pushed back almost every time, it seemed like.
Well, so here's another question on the D-line. Are we over-reliant on this whole 2-4 look? I mean, we had inactive, 2 linemen to begin with, or was it 1 lineman? I don't remember.
Just 1 D lineman.
Okay, but we only had 5 guys suited up. I mean,
yeah.
That's kind of a red flag to me. This is a weak position. We need more than that.
Here's the thing. They need more talent in the front 7. You know, it doesn't really the scheme is what it is. But if they had more talent, it would work. Okay? We've invested a lot of money in time and effort in the secondary. We haven't yet invested a lot of time and energy in the defensive line and the linebackers yet, except for Kerrigan.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Kerrigan, his non-recovery of the football and that sack was the turning point of the game. Had he made that, we would have been in perfect position to maybe score a touchdown, or if anything, put up another field goal. I mean, we would have been able to put on some points. And Kerrigan, I don't know what he was thinking. He was trying to scoop and score when there was like 3 guys on top of him. Just fall on it. If he just held on to that football, that long drive they had to end the first half wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, you could be talking about a totally different game from that point.
Yeah, it was a huge momentum swing. Huge.
Yeah, very frustrating. I realize it's not like we're suddenly going to find a playmaker and fix this defensive line, but so if this is the team you have, then you need to change your scheme to fit what we do. And
we're gonna have to blitz more because we can't get pressure with just the guys that we have up front.
That's what I was going to say.
He doesn't call nearly enough blitzes.
Yeah, we need to call nearly enough blitzes. We should be sending, if we're only going to have 4 guys and 2 linebackers, you got to be sending one of those inside linebackers almost every play. Change it up, so they don't know who's coming in, but somebody's got. So you got to get 5 guys in there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we need more talent on the front 7. You know, we need more talent. We need to blitz more. I think Joe Barry's scheme is too rigid. I think Jay Gruden's offensive scheme is way too rigid. You know, when it's clicking and it works, and we're playing a defense that, you know, it matches up well. You know, that's fine. But when you have a talented team like this, you know, it's what they're doing on both sides of the ball was just way too rigid, you know, and inflexible today to be successful against a good team.
Yeah, I mean, we have, like I said, on offense, we have all these weapons. It boggles my mind that we can't get more creative with what we have. You know, we weren't able to create any mismatches. You know, it just was so pathetic, really. It really was. I mean,
well, at this point, I think we know exactly what they're going to run, right? There's no creativity at all. No. We know that Deshaun Jackson's either going to run, you know, the short outs to the sideline, or he's going to run a 9, or he's going to run an out and up. You know, we know.
Well, Crowder,
I mean, we see
or
what
Jordan
Reed's
Reed,
gonna do.
yeah, you kind of know what they're going to be sitting in the middle of the field somewhere.
Yeah,
easy pass.
Pierre Garçon is by and large going to be on the short routes, you know, with the occasional deep ball. I mean, it's the same thing every single time.
It really all comes down to, though, Kirk. If he has a good game, we win. If not, we lose, like we did. I mean, he does not create anything. You know, he's tonight was a pure example of just being a game manager and not doing anything to put your team in a successful position.
And the really bad part of it is that it wasn't the Steelers did not cause the bad game. He just had a bad game.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
We were picking up the blitzes. I mean, he wasn't getting a lot of pressure in his face, so there was no real excuse for the bad game he was having.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is, there weren't even that many blitzes. The Steelers were mostly coming with 3 or 4 guys all game and dropping everyone into coverage, which, I mean, makes sense.
Once they started to get away with it, like once they started to have a big lead, they didn't need to rush more than 3 or 4.
No, they kind of went into a little bit of a defensive prevent there, you know, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, and it worked. I mean, Kirk didn't try to make anything happen. It didn't scramble until the last, you know, attempt on offense where he tried to scramble for the first down on 4th down. Yeah, I wish he did that earlier. You know, he stands in the pocket too much. He can
and you said it
on make things happen.
When you said it earlier, I think, Robbie, that the one play where he had a very obvious, you know, run almost all the way to the end zone and just stayed in the pocket and threw the ball away.
Yeah. I mean, when you get a 3-man rush like that, you almost have to move out of the pocket some just to, you know, create some havoc, make the defense play up on you to, you know, stop you from scrambling. Then you can create an open passing lane to throw to. I mean, you can't just be robotic and stay in the pocket all the time. You have to change it up.
Yeah, well, until we can figure out the whole running game situation, I don't see any quick fixes for the offense. Because that's gonna you know, fix the offense by giving you the play action and all that stuff.
You know, Rob Kelly needs to start.
Probably.
I think so too.
I'd give him a shot next week.
He won't, but I mean, he should.
He seems like a smarter runner to me. He has more natural instincts as a running back. Matt Jones is just an athlete who doesn't create things. You have to give him the ball with the, you know, open space, and
right.
He's just not that feature back type person.
His greatest asset is his size, and he doesn't use it well.
I mean, which is fine. I mean, he's a good complementary back to have. He's powerful. He's big. You know, he's pretty fast for a big guy too. But I just don't see the number 1 back in him. I hope he proves me wrong, but. I'm not convinced right now.
We need to see it from somebody because what we got ain't going to work. Not for 16 games.
I love the fight though that Chris Thompson has in him. He's a small guy, but damn it, he's got that Rudy in him. You know, I wish he was bigger because I would easily put him as my number 1 running back.
Yeah, he just wouldn't be able to hack it.
Yeah, he doesn't have
25 carries a game.
Yeah, maybe bump him up to, what did he have 4 this week? Bump him up to 6 or 7.
Thompson had a good fantasy game, though.
Yeah, I guess so. Somebody had to.
He had like 12 points.
Somebody had to for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We're right around the 30-minute mark already. So, final
I'm
thoughts.
sad with talking about it.
Yeah. I think
I have
we're
my
all
final thought. I'll
angrier
go
now.
first.
You want to go first, Steve?
Here's my final. Yeah, I have a final thought. The really sad part about this is not that the Redskins lost the game. It's that the entire football world was waiting for the Redskins to turn a corner, waiting for them to step out and become a good team. And what this, they laid an egg tonight. And what it shows everyone, or what everyone will believe, is that this is just the same old in Washington, D.C. And that's the saddest thing of all.
Yeah. I guess mine is that we literally just got outplayed and outcoached. That was not winning football that was out there. Way too many penalties, just beating ourselves most of the time. I mean, Steelers played it really well, but there was a lot of things that they left out on the field that should have gone differently. That's not going to take you very far in this league. And if Kirk wants to make this I tweeted this after the game. Kirk's got to play better than that if he wants another contract, or on this team or any team. That is not going to get it done, and he has to play better. It's just very pathetic and very frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing this as part of my final thought every game. So Kirk this year made $19.9 million or so. This game bumped his next contract down to about $16 million, I'd say. So, that's just one game, one bad, ugly game, bumping him down $3 million plus. So we'll see. Maybe he can bounce back up, but I'm just going to start doing that in my head every week, where I think Kirk's next contract's going to hit. So,
All right, we'll see.
yeah.
Funny.
All right. Well,
All right,
that wraps it up for this terrible episode of the Hogsty. Sorry, everybody.
We'll be back for a Dallas game preview in a few days.
Oh, we got to get juiced up for that. Can we not do it at 11 o'clock at night? Because this kills me.
Well, yeah, they're not playing Monday night anymore.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
God.
Well, and one last thing, sorry, before we go. Shame on me for getting overhyped for this game and having hope again. I do it every time. I was buying I sipped the Kool-Aid, and it made me throw up. So hopefully
I'm right there
better.
with you.
Beating Dallas will make me feel better.
I hope so. I
I'm
guess
right
I
there
shouldn't
with you,
hope
man.
so.
I did it too.
Yep. All right. Well, to all you guys out there, thanks for listening, and hope you have a good night. Bye.
Yay.
Hail.